Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Friday evening, December 1, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what that's been like in your year recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at what the surface map of the Atlantic is showing for this evening. We can still see that we have that cold front that stretches all the way from northern section of North Atlantic all the way down to the north of the Eastern Caribbean. And this cold front has induced a trough across portions of the southwestern Atlantic, touching all the way into portions of the eastern Bahamas and portions of eastern Florida. We can also see that we still have that ridge of high pressure right there, still sending a lot of easterly trade across the main development region into the Caribbean. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see the clouds associated with that cold front stretching all the way from northern sections of North Atlantic all the way down into portions of the southwestern Atlantic with that trough that is as induced across portions of the Bahamas. Now bring some amount of overcast skies and isolated thunder showers to sections of the eastern Bahamas. We can also see that low level flow of low level clouds pushing from east to west, all courtesy of that easterly trade wind brought about by that ridge of high pressure. We'll be talking more about the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today. It was stated that we would have received some amount of morning rainfall, and we also talked about what the entire month of December will be like in terms of the weather that's expected. Not to mention a summary that was given about the entire Atlantic hurricane season. And yes, we stated that we would have received some morning rainfall in eastern Jamaica, so definitely sections of St. Thomas, Portland, some of it spilling into sections of St. Mary. And we saw that happening because the post was made at 8:31 a.m. on our Twitter page, our Instagram page, Facebook, and TikTok page. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make other posts on those apps or websites that are not made here on our YouTube page. And we can see these low level clouds pushing from east to west. Some of these clouds having some amount of isolated rainfall within them. We definitely saw that across sections of St. Thomas, Portland, spilling into sections of St. Mary, even spilling into sections of St. Anne later on. So this does indeed confirm what we saw on the models in yesterday's video. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can see that we had a mostly clear day, more in the way of partly cloudy skies. Then we had some clouds across inland areas of some southern parishes, so northern Clarendon, northern Manchester, northern St. Elizabeth, section of northern section of Westmoreland. Definitely gotten on some amount of rainfall across sections of Westmoreland today. We saw a majority of that concentration of clouds, definitely spilling into sections of Negril as well. And if we take a look at the latest infrared satellite images, we don't see much happening right now across Jamaica. Only some few patches of low level clouds as indicated by those grays pushing from east to west. Taking a look at the Cuban Doppler radar images, we can see some greens that represent rainfall to the waters to the south of Jamaica. Just some isolated rainfall to wrap up the evening. As relates to what the accumulated precipitation from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology shows, we can see that for the past 24 hours, we had that rainfall, yes, across eastern Jamaica and northern Jamaica as well, so St. Mary. Then inland areas of some southern parishes, so northern St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, just like what we saw in the visible satellite images. Then definitely across sections of Westmoreland. So this does indeed confirm what we just saw in the satellite images, even although it was not forecasted on the models. And if we take a look at See Jamaica's YouTube channel, the live cam of halfway through today, we can see that during the afternoon it was a sunny day. It was sunny for the most part throughout the day today. And if we even take a look right now, In the night, the live camera at 7:05 p.m., we can see that there are a lot of people still hustling and bustling. It's the first day of the Christmas season, so it's definitely gonna be even busier, especially with all the, holiday spending. There's definitely gonna be a lot of traffic on the road, especially in the corporate area. So if you'd like to see more videos or live streams like this, please ensure that you visit our partner channel, that's See Jamaica on YouTube. They not only post the live camera of Halfway Tree, but definitely a section of Crossroads, other sections of Kingston, the Kingston Harbor as well. Alright, so let's just take a look at what the temperatures across Jamaica are like right now. We can say we have 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and as the night progresses into Saturday, so about 3 a.m., we can see the temperature is dipping down to about 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 22 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can see that here that Jamaica is located is gonna be getting in on some yellows and some orange colors that represent 1 to 3 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. And this is valid for 18th on Saturday. When we calculate that, that's 1 p.m. on Saturday. And we know the normal temperatures for the month of December are about 87 degrees Fahrenheit. So about the same as 30 degrees Celsius when we take a look at the thermometer. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30 to 33 degrees Celsius for Jamaica's temperatures on Saturday. Taking a look at the dry air map, we can see by the key on the bottom, the dry air is represented by those yellows, oranges, and reds. And Jamaica is still embedded in a lot of dry air, which explains why we're in such a dry period right now. This is the story of the dry season. It's gonna be a lot of dry air across the entire Atlantic, all the way through to March. That doesn't mean we can't get some cold fronts coming off of the United States, coming down as far as the Caribbean to bring some moisture. That's why we have to stay updated to see exactly what unfolds because we know these cold fronts can bring some stalled out heavy rainfall to sections of northern parishes and that cool temperature that most of us like to see. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Saturday, we can the majority of the Caribbean is in the clear. All the dust associated with the Sahara Desert is across portions of the Eastern Main Development Region and Africa, as we can see by those brown colors. As relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, both of these maps from the Euro and the GFS are in consensus that definite sections of the waters to the north and west of the island are going to be receiving those blues that represent 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights, while the waters to the south and the east are seeing some more in the way of purples and some slight red colors that represent 2 meter wave heights or more. And that's because the winds are still gonna be strongest on the south coast, where we see some of those yellows that represent up to 25 to 30 knot winds, and we can see the winds are coming in from the east, and we can see the greens across the northern portion of the island that represent anywhere from 10 to 20 knots at most. What we can also see is that you're piling up across sections of some central and western parishes. So maybe some more and we have some isolated showers across inland areas of some central parishes, as well as sections of some western parishes during the afternoon. And with the upper level winds coming in from the north, it's definitely going to be favoring more of that overcast skies and isolated shores across sections of some southern parishes in Jamaica. So definitely something similar to what we had today. So it's definitely going to be developing in within inland areas of the island, but it's going to be more focused to the southern side of the island, just like what we saw today. So Westmoreland, maybe St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. And if we take a look at what the rainfall forecast is showing by both the Euro and the GFS, this map from the Euro model is valid for 8 a.m. Jamaica time. And what do we see in terms of rainfall? We see that blue that represents rainfall across sections of St. Thomas, Portland, GFS showing something similar, but more of that blue on the waters, over the waters to the east of St. Thomas right there. So we shall see exactly what unfolds if some of that meanders on the land into St. Thomas at 8 a.m. Euro model is insisting that it's going to be coming on land by that time. GFS not so much, so we'll see how that goes. Later on, by about 4 p.m. now, we start to see more of those blues that represent rainfall. East, central, and western Jamaica. What does the GFS model show? GFS is showing more of that blues that represent rainfall across inland areas of some central and western parishes. So we do see the consensus, some slight consensus. So if it's not some overcast skies across inland areas of some central and western parishes, it's gonna be some isolated showers, something similar to what we had today, or even more robust, especially considering that the signal in terms of the forecast that we had for yesterday's weather in terms of what we would expect for today in the afternoon was not what actually happened. So maybe it might be a little bit more robust than what we had for today, for tomorrow. Alright, so let us take a look at what the accumulated precipitation forecast is showing. We do see some contrast. Euro showing more greens that represent rainfall across the east and the west. GFS not showing much at all, only some grays that represent the low end of the scale in terms of rainfall. Only up to 0.03 of an inch of rainfall. You can see the key on the right. So we'll see exactly what unfolds in terms of that rainfall. We'll keep you posted on our other social media platforms throughout the day on Saturday. Taking a look at the the precipitation average for Kingston and Montego Bay for the month of December. As we can see, we're in the first month right now of our dry season. We start to see the rainfall dwindling. So we'll take all the rainfall that we can get during this time of year to put some kind of a dent in the drought that's coming. There's definitely going to be a drought coming by the end of the dry season. Usually April is the end of the dry season. And then the much welcomed May or June rains will be following that dry season. Hopefully we do get those rains. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we can still see that we have the clouds associated with that stalled out trough across portions of the Bahamas, southwest Atlantic, to the north of Puerto Rico and the eastern Caribbean. We still see that we have a lot of low-level patches of cloud, bringing some isolated showers to section of the eastern Caribbean. Some of these clouds making it as far west as sections of eastern Nicaragua. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we can see how we indeed have that rainfall, especially across the Leeward Islands, a definite sections of Dominica, Guadeloupe right now. Not so much across Antigua and Barbuda, but maybe some hit or miss showers. More rainfall across the waters to the southeast and west of Puerto Rico at this time. And if we take a look at the Barbados radar, we can see that rainfall coming in more from the northeast. Just some isolated hit or miss showers. Some of it might make it into sections of northeastern Barbados later on tonight, but we can see some of that coming into sections of Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia as we speak, sections of the Grenadine Islands, St. Vincent. Not so much across Grenada right now, but maybe later on tonight. And Trinidad, we can see some of that heading into Trinidad as we speak. Maybe some more later on for Trinidad and Tobago. Alright, so if we take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we don't see much happening across the Caribbean basin. Just some isolated pockets of showers passing to the north of the ABC Islands. Taking a look at the temperature forecast, we can see that for the most part, the temperature should be average to slightly average across the eastern and central Caribbean, while it gets even more intense the more west and north we go. So definite sections of the northwestern Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico above normal temperatures will be the order of the day, and this map is valid for 1 p.m. on Saturday. Taking a look at the siren dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Saturday, we can see that majority of the Caribbean, majority of the Atlantic in general will be clear, as majority of the dust associated with the Sahara Desert is across portions of the eastern main development region and Africa. Taking a look at the wave forecast, we can see that for the most part from the Gulf of Mexico into the Caribbean, we should be receiving some blues that represent 1 meter wave height to 2 meter wave height. But look to the south of Jamaica, south of Hispaniola, north of Panama and Colombia, we see a lot of purples that represent up to 2 meter wave heights or more. And that's because the seas are gonna be, all riled up because of all of that strong easterly wind. We can see the strong easterly wind represented by those yellows. We can see by the key on the bottom right. The yellows represent 25 knot winds to 30 knot winds, in some cases some higher gusts. So fishers that are going out to sea tomorrow, please exercise caution if you're going to the waters to the south of Jamaica, south of Haiti, the seas will definitely be choppy because of all of these strong winds from the east. And as usual, wherever we have those greens, we're going to be averaging anywhere from 15 to 20 knots at most. And we can see the consensus on both the Euro and the JFS malls, and we know that we're looking for agreement when it comes to these forecasts. Finally, as it relates to the rainfall forecast, we can see some isolated rainfall as represented by those greens, yellows, and oranges across sections of the Bahamas. Still to come if they're not already getting it right now. It's still to come, and this map is valid from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday. So we can see some rainfall still to come for sections of the eastern portion of the Dominican Republic, northeastern Puerto Rico, sections of the US and British Virgin Islands, maybe Antigua and Barbuda, definitely Guadeloupe, Dominica, sections of Martinique, sections of St. Lucia, St. Vincent, but we don't see much in the way of rainfall in the forecast for Barbados, but maybe sections of St. Vincent, not so much Grenada, but we can see some more for Trinidad and Tobago. Skipping to the south, let's see what we see. Maybe coastal areas of Guyana and Suriname, but not much in the way of rainfall for majority of Venezuela at all. Maybe some coastal areas, maybe near the borders of Venezuela. Western Colombia, we can finally see some break in the amount of intense rainfall that section of Central America has been receiving. So, Western Venezuela, Panama, sections of Eastern Nicaragua, and Eastern Honduras, that's where the rainfall should be located for, well, from now up until 10 p.m. on Saturday. Not saying that it's going to be raining all the way up until then, but within that time period, these are the areas that are going to be receiving some amount of isolated rainfall. And we know that when both maps are showing something similar like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.